And there's a place that I've dreamed of, where I can free my mind. I hear the sounds of the season and lose all sense of time. Feels like we're in a dream, you know what I mean.
Right there, Camp McIntosh.
Yeah, baby. We are looking forward to yet another great season up at Camp McIntosh. If you are interested in joining us and having some fun where the French River flows into Georgian Bay, by all means, please reach out to Andre and Tracy. There's the number. There's the email. There's the website. If you want to know more, you want to learn more about the camp, by all means, I invite you to visit the website and become up to date like the rest of our CFNers. Good evening and welcome to CFN Live. It is yet another Monday. I am on call, so I am at the mercy of the pager. So hopefully all goes well. As it is right now, all we have with us is Jim. My thoughts are with the Barnucz family. Unfortunately, they're dealing with a family issue. It doesn't seem too serious, but nonetheless, they are dealing with something, and I want to wish the entire Barnucz family our best wishes. Hope everything works out okay. I haven't seen Lawrence, but I do know that Big Jim is with us, so we will be talking to him momentarily. First and foremost, let's say hello to some of the folks that are joining us. As always, Pete LeDuc's with us. How you doing, Pete? Nice to see you. Joe's in the house. Joe, I saw some of your questions. Unfortunately, as you can tell, I'm just a little bit busy. I will get to some of those questions that you sent me on Messenger. Erica, how are you doing? Nice to have you along as well. Lloyd's in the house. Yeah, baby. How's Lloyd doing? Mark Wolf, you know what, bud? That little snippet that you sent me, thanks, brother. That meant a lot. So I do appreciate everything you said. It meant the world. I really do appreciate that. Gary, how you doing tonight, buddy? Tony's in the house as well. Eve's with us, and we listen. We got some notable names here, and I think it's really important that we get to that. But before we do, I want to say with Warren here, as it is right now, the CFN retreat. I believe this is our 8th annual CFN retreat at Horwood Lake Lodge is booked solid. As it is right now, it's never before happened for us that we have been booked this early in the year. Usually we get a little bit closer if we get booked at all. But as it is right now, I am happy and proud to say that Horwood Lake Lodge is booked solid for our CFN retreat. So thanks to everyone who signed up, and we is going to have a lot of fun. How you doing, Mike? Nice to see you as well. Can't wait for the Ottawa show. Yes, you know what? It's coming sooner than you think. It's like it's a blink of the eye, and we're going to be there. It's so crazy. Richard Dunlop, great to have you along as well. We're going to be tasking Richard with it's going to be. It could be a large undertaking, but what we want to do is we want to legitimize our membership. And we are going to be putting that together in the coming weeks and months. But basically, anybody that thinks of themselves as a CFNer, we're going to task you with actually signing up. Free of charge, no charge for it. But what we want to do is we want to have a guaranteed membership base that if a certain company were to say, come along and offer us an exclusive deal on something, we want to be able to say, yep, they're a CFNer, not yet. Maybe we can reach out to them, blah, blah, blah. But needless to say, we want that membership to count for something. So stay tuned for that. Richard's going to be helping us in a huge way getting that done. So I look forward to that. Also, we are running a contest right now, and some of the notables that are here on the line, if you have caught a fish, your first fish in 2026, and I'm going to assume it's all going to be hard water. There are some hard water anglers that are watching and follow CFN. They still count. Doesn't matter. It's the first fish of 2026. We're going to be making a post on Thursday. Anybody who has given us pick already, and that would include Nick Dubé, Sarah Watson, Frank Giesbrecht, Gabriella O'Rourke, Hunter Speaker, David Speaker, Teresa Foster, Alexander Henry, Kate Daniels, Benoit Lassier, Patrick Perot, Rob Alspash, Jason Rees, Nathan Timchuk, Travis Legay, Kyle Bourvet, Andre Deham, Jim Wilson, Mark-Andre Olmsted, Catherine Bowden, Taryn Lugwood, Tony Cooper, Gord McDonald, Keith Duster, Yves Bazinet, Kyle Renault, Gilles Magnon, Angela Happa, and Josh Robert, Mitchell Dueck, Matthew Caleb, Wayne Snow, Mark Wolf, and Jason Rees. If you've heard your name, you've qualified. We're going to be making another post because I don't think everybody saw it. So stay tuned. Thursday, we're going to post it. Make sure if you've caught a fish in 2026 and it was your first, we want to see it posted in the comments for a chance to win some really cool Made in Canada prizes, as well as our good friends over at Shimano. So it'll be quite a prize pack. So make sure if you've caught a fish in 2026, look for it on Thursday. We're going to be posting it, and throw it in the comments to qualify. If you've heard your name already, you've already qualified. No need to post again, and we will make sure we add this list of folks with the post so that they already know that they've qualified. Outside of that, I think it's time to get going. I know Jim wanted to, he's got Uber duties tonight, so he wanted to get started and get started going. So let's do it right away. Jim, right after this.
When he was born, he tried to reel in the umbilical cord. Bass named him as their personal best. His power pole came with a stripper. Forward-facing sonar uses him to find fish. Chuck Norris is his co-angler. He is the most interesting fisherman in the world. Stay fishing, my friends.
There he is, the one and only Jim McLaughlin. How you doing, buddy? You're looking very relaxed.
It was a busy day today, buddy.
Well, there you go. I mean, I guess that's a good thing, bad thing, somewhere in between.
Got a lot done there. I was working on all the stuff for the Ottawa show. We got the big meeting tomorrow. So as I was telling you,
yeah.
So you know the way we lost our internet and everything for several days there with the dummies from Bell.
Yeah.
So they've eventually discovered 3 weeks later that they'd never finished up what they were doing, and they have to come back and do it, but they can't do it on the old work order. They have to make a new work order. Oh my God.
Good times, eh, Jim? Good, and you? I tell you, if it wasn't one thing, it would be another. But I will say, Jim, you deal with it very, very well.
Hey, Keith, what's up?
I don't think some of us would be able to handle it as well as you. Downloaded a little video, Jim, of what's going on currently at Lake Simcoe. It includes some folks that you might already know, and you may have already seen this, but this was just a couple days ago. It's from CTV News, but basically all those who are wondering and are thinking about heading to Lake Simcoe, have a listen to this. Hello.
I'm waiting.
It won't play. Okay. All right. Never mind. That is the strangest thing.
Try it again.
Did we freeze up? Are you there, Jim? Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're frozen to me most of the time.
Can you hear me, Jim?
An extra early start on the weekend by hitting the ice on Lake Simcoe for some fishing.
I'm going to go out, yeah. I'm going to go out. I got my float suit, so I've got some precautions with me, and yeah, we'll see. I'll check my way out there, see if it's safe, and set up and spend the day there.
People are being warned by York Regional Police's Marine Unit to be aware it's a risky time to be out in many spots on the lake.
As police officers, we would never tell anyone the ice is safe. Everyone has to check for themselves.
The YRP Marine Unit took this video from its helicopter last week over Roaches Point in Georgina. That's Snake Island in the background. The video clearly shows a mixture of ice and open water. Police and ice hut operators say this kind of inconsistency is normal for this time of year. Police warning people about the short-term weather forecast too.
As we all know, the weather is getting warmer the next couple days. Really, no ice is consistent.
There are dozens of ice huts out in Cooks Bay near Guilford, an area that often gets ice first because of its protection from the wind and its shallow waters. Ice hut operators reporting up to 8 inches in some spots.
We're fortunate to be in the shelter of Cook Bay and have this thick layer of ice, but there's all sorts of places on the ice. I've got reports of 4 inches in other places, and with this warm spell coming, there's going to be lots of places that will be unsafe.
You got to be really, really careful, guys. It's not the time to go adventure. It's not the time to go play out there, you know. Stick to known paths, known trails, and of course have all your safety gear on you at all times. Bring a spud, bring a bud, have flotation, guys.
Many people by the lake today came prepared, not just for their safety, but for the big catch too.
We're going for ice fishing, and we're going to catch something big. A whale, shark, probably, or something like this kind.
Good luck with that.
Yeah.
So anyone planning to head out anywhere on any waterway in our area this season is being reminded to always check and double check before going out. As the experts say, the ice conditions on a big lake like Simcoe is always different from one location to the other. And of course, make sure you always take the proper safety precautions. Rob Cooper, CTV News, Guilford.
Good advice there, Jim, as always.
Yep.
But I'm sure you've got a bit to add. But I couldn't believe how much open water we were seeing in that video. And that video wasn't that long ago. I want to say it was no more than 4 or 5 days old. So we've had the cold snap since then. We did have that big warm up. But it seems as if the ice, as where it was considered operable, not safe, but operable, remains that way. But I dare say, Jim, holy smokes, that was a lot of open water.
I know, and like it's really funny. You just used the word cold snap because it went down to -15.
Yeah.
Cold snap used to mean like what, -25, 30?
Exactly.
And Tammy and I just watched the news here. We're eating dinner, and we're watching the news, and they're talking about how cold it is, and it's -2.
Yeah.
Like,
we're getting soft. We're getting soft.
You are, not me.
No, it's true. We consider cold snaps to be anything greater than -5 or less than -5.
It's just changed so much, and yet in my backyard here, I think I wouldn't doubt I could run the pickup around out there now.
You've got at least what, 12 inches out your back?
Probably, yeah, in the back. It just freezes in this bay, eh? It just
Wow.
freezes. You go out to the end of the point, there's no ice. Where you go left or right. When we
That's
go to
awesome.
it's all wide open there. There's no ice there.
Wow.
No ice
Wow.
there. The St. Lawrence was frozen again. Remember, did I mention that to you? The Gananoque River was wide open, a little river with hardly any flow. And after the cold snap and it went to -12 here, the St. Lawrence froze, but Gananoque River was still wide open. And I have no concept. Now, I wouldn't have been to walk across the St. Lawrence.
Yeah.
But, it was frozen as far as the eye could see.
Yeah. And Mike's reminding us what cold snaps used to be.
Yeah.
-20 for 2 weeks or more. We haven't seen that.
Is showing out it would be 25 or 30. Well, the other day I was texting. I hadn't talked to Dave Gans for a while, and I texted him. And I said to him, what was it? Remember when you came to the old house on Graham Lake and we went and fished on the Big Rito and all that and everything one of the years? And he goes, yeah. And I said, remember the one day we didn't go out in the morning because it was just we went out to the van. And I looked at him and he looked at me and I said to him, I think we should wait for the afternoon bite. And we checked the temperature and it was -34.
Jeez.
Like -34 is kind of cold, unless you're going out and you're setting up in one spot, not like we were going to go hound dog and they'd like run around to 4 or 5 different places.
Yeah.
So, that's -34. It was dead calm, though. Dead calm. Dead calm. Like my hand stuck to the door of the truck, eh? He had to go and get water inside. Yeah.
Did you lose a bet?
No, there's no bets in. I wish there would have been. It'd have been up. No, but yeah, it's just changed, and everything's changed in that way.
Yeah.
And then they're showing Lake Ontario and the St. Lawrence River. There's ocean vehicles or ocean freighters frozen in the ice.
Yeah.
In places where it didn't even freeze. One of the guys in Prescott posted a picture this morning of I think it was a Coast Guard icebreaker right in front of Prescott, beating up some ice. And they were talking. Yeah, I went on. I found this really cool thing on Facebook. It's a thing that follows the ships all through the Great Lakes.
Oh, no way.
And it shows you where all the different ships are, where they're headed, and everything. It's pretty cool. I just saw it, and it was kind of cool. And I hit follow on it, and it's been showing stuff, and they've been showing I guess the American Coast Guard, the icebreakers of over by Sault Ste. Marie, and that have just been doing triple time. They're 24/7 just breaking ice just to get these things somewhere to sit for the winter. Now they know they're not getting out now.
Jeez.
So.
Incredible. I saw some footage on the weekend, and I believe it was from Simcoe, where they had quite a bit of water, almost a foot, maybe 18 inches of water.
Oh, I saw that. They showed with the wind. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I love to fish, but not in those kind of conditions.
Plus, it's just plain dangerous.
Yeah, well, that too, 100%.
It's just plain dangerous. Like I was watching the water. Like we had monster rain and the snow melted here. And I was sitting in the living room there, and you could see the water running along the top of the ice. And what I noticed when I went to town the other day, there was sand on top of the ice. You could see the sand was shaped like from the current from running along the top, but it still didn't melt the ice. So that just shows you how thick the ice is.
100%.
Yeah. And yeah, all the other lakes here, there's hardly anybody ice fishing except the odd bay. I think they got about 8 inches of ice in some places.
Right.
But and that's further north up toward Ottawa. Like Mississippi Lake's got some decent ice. Those showed guys out with four-wheelers, but they're out in the same places where they're out every year at this time with four-wheelers and that. So
yeah, no, you're right, Mike.
Common sense, anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Waves on top of the ice.
It was. Yeah. I couldn't believe it. It was unbelievable to see how much water was on top of the ice. But
I've told you about years ago when fishing down in Lake Ontario, off the end of Amherst Island, and we could see like the water was coming up the holes, shooting up the holes. It was the waves coming in through the opening, the gap there at the towers, and you'd hear it coming, and it would shoot up through. The ice was like 18 inches. We had trucks out there, there was lots of ice, and then there was one day later in the day, I get a really good lake trout, like a really good one, like probably like 42, 44 inches.
Wow.
Like a killer. And we go to get it out the hole. I said, I think like the water had gone back down in the ice a good bit, that it settled back down. And then we realized when we looked down the hole, because the ice was a good bit of ice, when we looked down the hole, there was actually space between the bottom of the ice and the water. So we couldn't get the fish. And I wasn't going to gaff it. I'm not doing that to fish. I'm not keeping,
Yeah.
I still remember my buddy going down. He had these long pliers. I told him, I said, they're stupid things. When are you ever going to use those? I said, sir, you want to be in control right at the fish. He managed to get down far enough with his arm in the hole, and he got the little spoon out of its lip. So we never got it, but we could see it plain as day. Like it was a giant fish. We had caught so many of them out there.
Jeez.
Back when you could drive out there, it was neat, But now, see that you're lucky. You're lucky most years now if you get the walk out there.
Yeah. Very true. Sonia brings up a great point, and I do know that speaking of the panel, I know we keep tracks of the weather because I know we talk about it at great length here on CFN Live, and I know Jay is kind of a weather guru like myself. But yes, great advice. If you are heading out, it's probably not a bad idea to make sure that you know what weather is coming. And especially if you're out on the ice and you're worried about wind and perhaps even water flowing over top of
wind. Wind is one of the big ones that you get out on Simcoe. I've heard horror stories about guys getting caught in the whiteouts, and even just from the wind, like it's blue sky, but the wind's blowing. And I've seen that stuff. I've seen it on Lake of the Woods, and it's scary.
Yeah.
It's scary. If you could get 20 feet in the air, you'd be able to see, but you can't. And it's just, you don't even know where you have no concept. If they were to spin you around 4 or 5 times and say, where's land?
One experience I've had out on Lake Simcoe where we had a whiteout, and it was a snow squall that came through. Beautiful sunshine when we got to the hut, and by the time we left, we didn't even realize it. We looked out the door, and it was completely, we couldn't see 3 feet in front of us. It was unreal. And
it
again,
gets worse when it gets dark.
And we didn't listen to weather. We didn't have the apps and the availability of weather forecasting like we do now. So if it's out there, use it. It could save your life.
Or something like that. I'm not worried about the weather for how thick the ice is or how thin the ice is.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to check as I go. You know, if the weather says it's going to be minus 30, I don't care. When I get there, I'm still checking. You know.
Yeah. Mini tornadoes. We see them here too, Rob. We don't get the kind of ice thickness that you guys do out there down here in the south. But out in Saskatchewan, I still remember the amount of videos that I've seen where folks that had to add extensions to their augers. That's just remarkable. It almost doesn't make it fun when you're fishing.
I saw some guys that were up in Baker Lake, and it shows the guy standing on a step ladder, and they've got 2 or 3 extensions on the thing already, and he's up 4 or 5 steps to get, and then he passes because they got to get the thing up, because it's all welded in one piece.
Yep.
He passes it down once he gets through, and they go through, and it showed them pulling up these, I don't know what they were. It must be some kind of codfish or something, because it was in salt water. But it's just amazing. You know, there's like 8 feet of ice.
Incredible. Yeah, Mark, great GPS is a must at times. If you have it, grab it. Even a compass, if you know how to read it and know how to use it, by all means. Mike, that is great advice, and that's what I learned that day out on Simcoe. Why they always
never heard that.
That's
no, I've never. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so that was I was out with a good friend of mine who'd been on Simcoe for a number of years, and he did this, and I never understood why, because the wind would always pound against that door, and as soon as you go out to take a pee, it would it would flap around and damn near break the windows. But he said, we do this for safety. Never really understood it until that day that we had the whiteout.
Safety, so you get beat to death by a door. In the window.
Exactly.
Hanging on the door, getting thumped off the side of He's down.
No kidding. No kidding. God. How you doing, Jeff? Nice to have you along with us. Unfortunately, some sad news, Jim. Yeah. I know you know Dion. Yeah.
I hadn't heard that.
Yeah. Any cool stories that you know regarding Dion?
Yeah, no, it's just a great fishing family, you know. Oh, that's so sad.
At 58,
so sad.
That's young, man. That's
I got to talk with his dad a few times at things, and I talked to him. I remember when he was big on tube fishing. That was one of his deals, eh? But you know, regardless of what these guys are good at, they just know how to find fish.
100%.
They just know how to find fish. It's what it is, eh?
You know, and again, I don't follow bass, nor am I a part of it like you are, and even I know Dion. And yeah, this is it's sad this young to lose somebody that he was a breath of fresh air. Lots of great positivity and energy. It's a shame to lose anybody from our community, but especially a guy like Dion who brought a lot of positivity. So
his mom was the greatest. She'd make breakfast for everybody, because they always traveled in a motorhome toward the end of Guido's career.
Yeah.
Jeez. I remember when we were, he was big time when my kids were little, eh? And,
is that right?
I was watching the Bassmaster Classic, and I don't know what we were doing, but somehow we had got a hold of a turkey. I was chored with, getting the guts out of it when it unfroze and everything, and I'm doing that and whatever else, eh? And it was the year when he won the classic, eh? And they're talking about it, and my girls are there, and I said to them, go go check on the TV and see if they watch the news in the States, because we didn't have phones and you didn't just go look, eh? And I said, see if Guido Hibden won the Bassmaster Classic, because it'll make the news. So it was on the American news. They came out telling me. So after that, we always nicknamed our turkeys Guido. I'm not kidding. Jennifer's kids call the turkeys Guido to this day.
Wow.
They have no idea why. I'll have to tell them someday. I should have told them at Christmas, but I'm old. I forget things now. I won't remember next year.
Well, to the entire Hibden family, our thoughts and prayers are with you. Hopefully,
Very sad.
you're in some kind of comfort mourning the loss of our beloved Dion. But needless to say, yet another one leaves.
The only thing we're all sure of, buddy.
Yeah, it's so true. So true. Jim, one thing that we don't talk a lot about. Oh, speaking of which,
you like that?
Who
you
wouldn't?
Imagine some big chartreuse and white blades behind that coming over a cabbage bed?
Wow. That is sweet.
I made that between emails this afternoon.
Wow. And is that for Dodson's?
Yeah.
Nice.
I'll send that one to Bosselman. Oh no, I'll send that one to Johnny, because I guess it would be more of a perch type thing, really.
Yeah.
There's no orange in it, but yeah, he likes it. Yeah, I did that this afternoon when I was reading the want ads. Because like I'm looking for a new job, so it's what it is. Should I do it now?
Dude,
no, I'm not. Just so you all know, this is something you probably thought you'd never hear come out of my mouth, but I'm no longer with Shimano. And it's what it is. It was almost 43 years, and they chose to take the financial part out of my contract. It wasn't that big anymore. It wasn't like the old days, but they chose to take that out. So you can't work for free.
Yeah.
And, I look for guidance from Tom Brook, who's the old vice president. He's the one that brought me in and sent me a couple of notes to reassure me that I was the biggest overachiever he had ever seen at that company, which made me feel really good. And that I never did anything wrong, and I totally fulfilled everything I was supposed to do. So as he said to me, at one point it always becomes business. And somehow along the way, somebody thought that for what I was still getting paid for what I did, I shouldn't be there. And that's the way they feel. I'm not going to go on Facebook and whine about it or complain about it. It's what it is. It's a great thing. I didn't like finding out 10 days before Christmas or whatever it was, 2 weeks, 3 weeks before Christmas. Or was it? Yeah, it was about 3 weeks there, maybe a month, whatever it was. It was, and it's what it is. I'll reinvent myself. I'm taking a few weeks here to just mull things over, and I'll pick the phone up someday and use the phone to my, to the fullest extent that I have it, and see what we can do, because I'm not ready to sit on the couch, and I'm close, but I still want to be in the business.
Yeah.
And I thought I would finish up with Shimano. I really did.
Mm-hmm.
I thought they would let me retire, but I guess it's just a business thing that doesn't happen there, and it hasn't happened to anybody. And I guess maybe I should have seen that coming. Maybe I shouldn't have, but it's all done. The worst thing is, I know I got a lot of really good friends there, and I know they felt bad.
Yeah.
And it's, you're just not going to be around them as much anymore. When you are, it's always going to feel a little bit funny, eh?
Yeah.
But they were my friends first, and even Billy, who runs Canada now, he tried to get me to stay. He came after me with a really nice email and really asked me to stay. And he said, he said that, but he signed it a friend first. So it's what it is, eh? So that's right, Keith.
Well, I will say this on behalf of all of us. It doesn't matter what the future holds in terms of who you represent. We will all follow you, as Erica says, wherever you go. But I will say this, Jim, and I think it needs to be said for a number of reasons. One of which I truly admired your dedication and loyalty Shimano. And it could have been any company that you were, pumping the tires of, but you have done it for so many years. I've paid witness to your dedication and to that loyalty, and what that loyalty meant to you from both your perspective, from a business sense as well as an emotional sense. And you got a big heart. You wear it on your sleeve, and this was a big pill for you to swallow. And unfortunately, it is a bit of a wake up call, but I think it's a wake up call for all of us. At the end of the day, loyalty is very, very important, and unfortunately, it is a dying art in our industry. And I will have to say, this gentleman is a perfect example of what loyalty looks like. So if you are thinking that you're a loyal sponsor, representative, brand ambassador, whatever you want to call yourself, 40, how many years, Jim? 40?
A little bit 43.
43 years pumping the tires of the same company. That is loyalty that is extremely rare these days. And I admire and a tip of the hat to you.
Appreciate that
for so long, buddy.
Yeah, I just thought there might have been a bit of an exit strategy, but maybe they didn't think I would leave. But if you're not gonna pay me, I can't continue to do it. I can't do all this stuff. Just one thing, I only put in 40 days last year on their behalf, and things like that. Not counting CFN and all the other things out there, right? And hey, Richard, Shimano stuff. You'll never hear me say that it's not, it's top shelf. It's all there is to it. All the new stuff that they're coming out there that they were just showing. I was looking at that the other day, and I got drool running down my mouth. It's one of those things. But I just thought that I would have got a little bit of an exit strategy, even when they realized I wasn't coming back, that they might have come back and said something. I made my mind up that once I saw that, even if they came back and said, "Hey, look, we made a mistake. We'll give you the money. Let's work on 3 years." No, you didn't want me. That's fine. I'll go away. And it really has changed. It's not the same. It used to be a real family, and families change, things go on, and I don't want anybody saying anything bad about Shimano because of this or whatever. It doesn't do any good. I had a guy call me here the other day and sent me some photos. I almost died, and I said, "What are these?" He said, "Oh, they're e-transfer receipts things." And I said, "What are they from?" He says, "Well, I'm going to send these to Shimano on Friday morning, courier, with an envelope, like in an envelope with a rude letter. I sold all my Shimano stuff on the weekend because of this." Wow. And I don't need stuff like that. But, that's, I know he just expressed, George, my Metanium's not coming. Hey, how much money you got, George? Would you settle for a Corrado DC? It'll be a medium, but it'll be a double, not a Shimano.
Wow. Well, as I said, 43 years of being a part of.
I'm blessed.
It's remarkable.
I could not thank them enough.
Yep.
I could not thank them enough for the wondrous time and the things I got to share with them and everything like that. I went through so many people at Shimano. That's the thing, because they would come and go, or a lot of them came and retired or got retired early. It's just a lot of people have gone by. When I look at the names, and I talk with a lot of people. I talk with Tom. I mean, he used to be the vice president. And he brought me in. I always thought that they would let him take me out at times, so to speak. And then, of course, I spoke to Dave and Bob, and they would have had me go a different direction, but that's okay.
Yeah. Well, I will say this, as I said, it has been such an inspiration to watch how you've conducted yourself, representing a brand that you were so loyal to in so many different places, locations, events, what have you. I mean, at the end of the day, you have dragged Shimano around to basically every aspect of your life. And again, that kind of dedication, I'm hoping folks are listening not to hear the negative side of this story, but the positive side. If you want to emulate yourself, by someone to emulate someone that is doing it the right way. It's something that was said to me a long time ago. This is your guy. And what you've done for Shimano, I could never even dream of
Well, I'm gonna
replicating.
I'll let you know. I'm gonna do it for somebody else.
There you go.
I've got a few things in mind about how to do this two different ways, and if I get what I want, I'll do it one way. If I don't, I'll do it another way, and it just won't be as big of a bang. But I've got 5 names, 5 contacts there. I've thought this out for 6 weeks now, and I'm just I'm ready.
There you go. Well,
yeah, it's so funny. You know the way we always talk about the internet and how people are on. They're in there, they're blowing pictures up to see if they can find something or whatever else. So I had a picture I posted on a thread. A guy asked me what kind of tires I used. He said, "I know you do stuff with Goldwing," and he goes, "Yeah." And I said, "Hang on, I'll send you a picture." So I'm in here in my chair. I opened the door. You know where the door is. I wheeled over to the door and I took a picture of the tire. Because I always forget now. I'm terrible on names and things like that. I guess it's Ice Guard. And
okay.
So the guy the guy messages me back and he says, "How come you don't have Shimano? Did you get a new truck?" You don't know the way people pick up on things, eh?
Yeah, 100%.
They pick up on things. I couldn't believe it when the boys at Goldwing stripped the truck and buffed it. I must have had 15 people that saw me because I left the tailgate on because of Tubman Motors.
Right.
Yeah, so I've got to get that redone though. But we still had the gold wing on the windows and that, and I've given them the hood. Just they're going to do it because them at Yokohama. Where else can you get 2 sets of tires a year?
Yeah,
that kind of a thing. So they're really good to me that way. They're going to do it that way. But there's we'll go. I had so many people for comment about the truck. Oh, you got a new truck. You got a new truck. So.
Well, as Rick says, we're all excited to see the new wrap, and we will see that. I guess the first show will be in Ottawa, where you will unveil that and be driving that around.
I don't know if I'll have it done by then, but I'm going to work on it. I might have to, like I said, I'm going to wait a little while. I already got sort of touched once, so to speak, by somebody whom out of the blue, and I thought that they knew. And, when I said, look, if there's ever anything I could do, and I mean anything for you, so.
We all feel the same way, pal.
Hey, carefully, you never know. I could go to Berkeley, George. And
it'll be fun. Lots of fun at the Ottawa show. As always, we're going to be helping Jim out with the casting pond with all the kids. And, of course, there's going to be a Made in Canada tackle man marketplace aspect to the show as well. That is filling up nicely. We still have a couple booth spots available. So if you are interested in representing your product, pumping your brand, please reach out to me and we will make sure that Scott gets you booked at the show. But as I said, $6 a square foot, man, you can't beat that. And it's a great means of advertising. If in fact you have something to advertise, it's a cheap way of doing it. And if you're a guide, charter captain, or you're producing tackle here in Canada, from Canada, for Canadian anglers, you're welcome. You're welcome aboard.
Yeah, I'm sure always filled up. That'll be filled up by the time you get there. There'll be no problem. I wouldn't doubt.
No, I agree. Jim, I know you wanted to get going fairly early, so I'll leave it at that.
You got anything else you want to talk about? I'm ready to go, buddy.
Well, I wasn't expecting you to stay as long as you did because I knew you had to go wherever you were going. But as I said, when it comes to Shimano, and now that you've unveiled and brought the cat out of the bag, what was the one takeaway after 43 years? What was your greatest takeaway when representing Shimano?
There'd probably be a couple. The second classic in Aurelia was just beyond. You know what I mean? That was just beyond. Well, you know what it is. It's hanging right there. That's the best thing.
No, I know, and I know Shimano stepped up in a big way to make sure that that happened.
You're
for
third,
him.
Sean.
Yeah, absolutely, buddy. I would say I'm a close third to you two, but nonetheless, it's not a competition I ever want to be a part of, and I don't ever expect to win. But yeah, that was a lot of fun, and if that is yet the highlight of your career, then it was an honor to share it with you, pal.
I told you it's definitely, I think it just brought everything I did to Shimano with Shimano in and made that happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If I would have been doing all the stuff I would have been doing, then that wouldn't happen. So
100%.
Shimano allowed me to have that happen, and that's a wonderful thing, and that's why I hold no malice. You know, I'm I've made my mind up that I ain't going down the dirty road. It ain't happening.
No.
There's really no reason for it to.
No.
If I can say in one line that, they gave me the best, 42, 43 years of my life, then why would you ruin it? Why would you ruin it? There's no reason to ruin it by being a bad guy, eh? So.
Totally agree. No, Sean, actually, he is not retired. You'll have to.
Are you ready, Sean?
Yeah.
Have you got a glass with two fingers in it? I'm not with Shimano anymore.
Yeah. Well, Jim, on that note, dude, I can't think of anything more to say that would be appropriate to the situation. But again, thanks for being a great mentor, not only for Shimano, but of course for the entire fishing community at large. As I said, as a Canadian angler growing up, you were definitely one of the icons and mentors that we followed in your footsteps, tried to emulate you, tried to be like you. And again, there's only one Big Jim, and there always will be one Big Jim, but unfortunately, he's no longer going to be a standout with the Shimano hat and all the Shimano swag. So with that, buddy, our deepest condolences, but we look forward to seeing the next chapter in your life.
Me too.
Well said, buddy. All right. Well, listen, you have yourself a great night.
I will.
Careful driving, and God bless. We will see you on Monday.
I got to go back to the wonteds.
There you go. All right. We got Lawrence coming up right after a word from our sponsor. Lawrence Gunther.
How are you?
Buddy, how you doing?
Good.
Some big news there about Jim and Shimano.
Oh my God, yeah. I remember 20 years ago. It was 20 years ago. I approached Big Jim and said, "Hey, do you think Shimano would be interested in supporting some of the programs I'm developing?" And he gave me tons of advice. It was interesting too, because I said, I want to evaluate fishing equipment to see what's the best usable and accessible fishing equipment for people with disabilities, different types of disabilities. And he said, if you want a sponsorship, that's one thing. He said, if you want to do tackle, verifications and just looking at them and assessing them and comparing them with other brands, I said, that's not going to get you very far, because, you might have a company, they'll supply you with a reel, and another company, so you can compare 3 different reels from 3 different companies, but they'll never do it again, and they'll never, because they'll know you're never going to be a sponsor, like a pro staff for that brand. You're just going to always be, like a writer, more of a writer, just writing and comparing. And that was before the internet and before you could get YouTube numbers and Facebook numbers and make money that way, which is what's happening now. And I stuck to my guns and I said, no, I really want to do this. I really want to evaluate. And I stayed on that. I had a few conversations with Jim over a period of 3 months about that. And then he put me in touch with Bob and Bob, talked to me about it. And then another 3 or 6 months went by and I realized, you know what? I just want to be able to supply some fishing equipment, use some fish equipment, and be able to do more about the bigger thing and not be a tackle reviewer kind of person. And it's more about, like Bob said, look, he said, all you have to do, Bob Mahoney from Shimano, right? Mm-hmm. He said, just if you're going to write about a fishing technique and it requires a 7-foot medium heavy extra fast fishing rod, then just say that. And if the picture happens to show you holding a Shimano 7'2" medium heavy extra fast casting rod, then so be it. You don't always have to say rah this brand or this model, but if you want to give good advice, just give the advice on what type of tackle to use. You don't have to get into the names and the brand names and so on. Yeah. And I thought that was really top shelf, right, for him to say that. And that's what I did in the articles. I just wrote about what kind of equipment. You pick your brand or whatever brand you're going to use, whatever you can afford, whatever you got accessible to you at your local store. And if I'm using Shimano, well, that's what I'm using. That's what I'm holding in my hand. So it was a good working relationship and has been ever since. I don't get checks from Shimano, but they certainly support the programs we developed over the years. And even when I said, look, as the charity was growing and we were getting sponsorships and support, and I had to go and fundraise, as involved with a charity, you have to be a little bit careful about sponsorships. Yeah. And I told my sponsors this, years ago, and I said, look, I'm not going to do so much pro staff stuff anymore, wearing badges and logos and so on. But if you want to support our work, I welcome you to continue to support our work of the charity. And it's not so much about me. It's not me. I'm not the charity. I'm just the guy behind the charity, along with a bunch of other great volunteers. We're all volunteers, and all of them stuck. And and even Shimano came up to me and said, you keep going, and we'll always support you. You always got our support for your work you're doing. So it's it is what it is. You never know, like how people make decisions and what's happening. And I'm not trying to say I'm going to replace Big Jim. Never in my ever thoughts would I ever replace Big Jim, and he knows that. But
here's the thing, Lawrence, and really at the end of the day, there's no one that's going to replace him. No one can honestly say that they've been with any company, let alone Shimano, for 43 years. So, we might do our best to pump the tires of a company that makes some incredible fishing and angling geared product. But at the end of the day, there's only one Big Jim. There is no other. And it is unfortunately something that we're all going to have to get used to, because the only thing I think of when I think of Shimano, I think of Big Jim. I always do. So it will be there'll be some mourning, if you will, or some getting used to time that we'll have to pass over. But at the end of the day, our CFN fish off and CFN all our retreats, they wouldn't be near as exciting for me, never mind for our guests, but for me to be able to hand out some of those incredible prizes from Shimano for all of our guests that come to our various retreats and get-togethers and meet and greets and all that. So again, I could never say a bad thing about Shimano. It is a tough pill to swallow. I'm not going to lie, and I've been very upfront and open about that. It took us all by surprise, I guess, to say the least, how it all went down. But at the end of the day, I can't thank Shimano enough for all they've done for our community. We just wouldn't be as strong as we are if it wasn't for Shimano.
Yeah, and you look at all the industry, all the tackle industry has gone through big shifts in the last 20 years ago. It was about it wasn't about winning tournaments, got you the sponsorships. It was about how many times you were in front of the media. right? And you didn't have to win tournaments. You just had to get in front of media. That was more important to them. And then 10 years later, I'm talking 10 years ago now, it was about, how you're doing with the social media. Now we have social media. You need to get into social media.
Yeah.
And the bloodletting, all the industry did at that point, it wasn't about how many guys you had wearing your logo on their tournament shirt. That just ended so fast.
Yeah.
And it was all, about who's on social media and who's got huge numbers of following. And, the whole idea of the influencer emerged. And the big Jim pivoted into that, man. He embraced social media like, few did. And he just rose to the top. He really did, and
year after year, and truth be known, because I don't think this was something that he spoke much about it, but I can and I will. When it came to the number of tags, the number of posts, the number of mentions of Shimano, I think Jim was like reigning champion for almost a decade. I don't think anybody came close to him.
Yeah.
So a man that didn't grow up necessarily with electronics, because he's talked about it at great length, all his paper graphs that he had, and Janex bottles and all this technology wasn't necessarily something that he embraced and was familiar with. But his social media prowess I mention it to him all the time. It's absolutely staggering for a man his age to be as fluent in social media as he is. Just incredible.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. He really just embraced it and shot right up. And, and I tell you, so many people didn't. Like 10 years ago, I was sponsored by Freybill. It got bought by Plano, and it was bought by this other company just before it was all bought up by Pure Fishing more recently. But before that happened, that company was right into all these hunting brands. And they said, no, we don't need you anymore, Lawrence. I said, really? I said, I'm doing all this stuff here, and we're getting you all sorts of there's all sorts of interest in what we're doing. He said, yeah, but if you don't hunt, we're only keeping people that hunt and fish. He said, he said, when we took over Plano, which included the Freybill people, we had over 200 people of pro staffing in North America on that list. He said, we're moving it down to 25. And that's the way it was going, So now it's all about, who's got these huge YouTube numbers and Instagram reel numbers and, those types. It's not just a matter of being, having likes. It's now you have to be producing serious content, and they don't even sponsor those people. They might give them, they don't even sponsor them. They just go out there making their money and reviewing tackle and unboxing and teaching and instructing and picking their own brands. The biggest podcaster in the United States, the biggest fishing podcaster is Tackle Talk. That guy's sponsored by nobody. He has one affiliation with an online retail operation, but he buys his own tackle. He takes it out fishing. He talks about it on his podcast, and it's the number one rated fishing podcast in the United States because he's just talking about tackle and how to use it. And he doesn't take any sponsorships.
Yeah, and really, I mean, what better way to remain neutral than doing exactly that? Because and that's the unfortunate stigma that's associated. When we speak of Shimano, when I say I love my Noski reel, they're like, oh yeah, okay, it's just because you're sponsored by Shimano. No, I love Noski before I was sponsored, and really at the end of the day, I wouldn't even call it a sponsorship. It's more of a partnership that we have with Shimano. But Bob and everybody at Shimano knows how much I love Noski reels, and there's some exciting news coming out about the Noski reel, which we're going to be able to share at some point. So I'm really excited about that. But anyway, irregardless, dude, it's a tough day, tough pill for Jim to swallow, and of course our community as a whole. We've in the last 11 years that we've been doing this, we've always signified Jim with Shimano. So that's going to be a tough change. Tough pivot, as they say. Now, I will say this: I have come very prepared. I know you're probably about to fall off your chair, but I have a few things that I wanted to bring up. And first and foremost, let's do sort of a Q&A.
Okay.
If I give you a number, I want to see if you're going to be able to tell me what the significance of that number is.
Oh boy.
You ready? This is an article that was written by Outdoor Canada. I want to thank folks over there for writing up some very interesting stuff. The number is 8,500. 8,500 is the number. What is the significance of that number?
I don't know. Like, is it the number of people involved in the salmon, recreational salmon fishery on the West Coast?
Close.
Yeah.
I mean, it's in you're in the right area. Yep, you're in the right area.
Okay.
But you're not. You're cold. If you're doing hot and cold, you're cold.
Right. Okay. Wrong end of Canada.
No, it's the right end of Canada. Just the wrong topic.
Oh. Okay. Nothing to do with seals or whales.
Nope.
Or I know it certainly has nothing to do with the number of people who fish, because that's up around 400,000 people who fish just recreational marine licenses, saltwater.
This is a lot more fun than I thought it would be. Yes, you're right. You're so far.
Okay. And there's, another 380,000 people who buy freshwater recreational fishing licenses in BC.
Yeah.
And some of them buy both. So, maybe there's 800,000 people who buy licenses in BC, but that's not 8,500.
You're on the right. Yep.
I'm on the right track. Outfitters.
Well, you're on the right track of not guessing what it is, because you're right. You're ruling everything out appropriately.
Okay, I give up.
Okay, it is the length in feet of fish killing ghost gear, abandoned or lost fishing nets and tackle removed from the Fraser River since 2016 by the Fraser River Sturgeon Conservation Society and First Nations partners. 8,500 feet
of ghost gear. Man, that's all gill nets, eh? That's all gill nets. I mean, there's hundreds and hundreds of gill nets that people set off from the shore, and they walk them out, and they, string them out from the shore, 40 feet, 50 feet, and anything that follows the shoreline gets caught in these gill nets. And and then there's hundreds of them. And
we've talked about it when they have those horrific rain events. The river gets washed out. If you've set a trap before that weather comes through, what are the chances that net's still there when you go back?
Yeah.
Slim to none, right?
Ghost gear. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Wow.
So
that's a lot. That's a lot.
Lawrence is, you're a guru when it comes to numbers. That's what Sonia's saying.
I messed up last week. One of the numbers I put in my article last week was 70,000. And that was the number of people involved in the industry, the marine recreational fishery on the West Coast. I got an extra zero in there. It's more 7,000 people working in the industry. You
were excited. No fault for being excited.
My little pinky pressed that zero key once too many times, and I didn't catch on.
Now, this is an interesting, and it turns into a great segue for a video that I want to share with you here. But this is my next question. And again, this is an article that was written by Outdoor Canada. The number is 24. 24 is the number. What is the significance of that number?
And that's again in Outdoor Canada magazine. They do those numbers, those magic. This is and I used to follow them religiously. I used to dig in on those all the time, and I got maybe a little lazy. 24?
Yeah, 24 is the number.
No idea. Hours in the day. That's as good as I'm going to get on that one. I have no idea.
24 is the number that represents the times more cod and other fish species are eaten by Newfoundland and Labrador's 4.4 million harp seals.
Yeah.
Then
I thought it was 20. I read that study, and it said 20. The seals eat 20 times more cod than are being caught by recreational sort of commercial fishers on the east coast of Canada right now. Yeah.
Jeez, that's incredible. Well, it's a staggering number, but where cod is doing very well, or at least Tommy cod for that matter, is in the province of Quebec. Have a listen to this. This is really cool. I didn't even know this fishery existed.
The
This
Tommy
vast
cod, man,
ice
it's a
fishing village
festival.
on the frozen Sainte Anne River, an old-fashioned winter in Quebec of cold and snow, is reeling in visitors.
We're fortunate to have a great winter vacation.
With colder than normal temperatures in December, a thick ice cover formed early.
It's about what you were saying.
24 inches.
24 inches,
Yeah, 24
eh?
inches.
Ice fishing is a nearly 90-year-old tradition here in Sainte-Anne-de-la-Pérade.
Oh, I see.
Old-fashioned with the wood stove.
By the 1940s, people were arriving by train to catch the tomcod or frostfish, a mild-tasting catch.
It's around 400 million fish coming in Sainte-Anne-de-la-Pérade each winter.
The small white-fleshed fish is known for winter spawning. And it spawned big business here, attracting about 100,000 people a year. The region became known as the tomcod capital of the world. But over the past 5 winters, warm weather shortened seasons. Profit thinned along with the ice. A third less visitors rented cabins from outfitters here. We have to work twice as hard during mild winters. This season we finally had it easy, says Jesse Casey. The trade is often passed down from generation to generation here. The mild, difficult winters had some thinking of quitting.
Because of this year, I think that will save, the young one and give them
Hooked again.
give hope. Yes, that's it.
One season at a time, they say here, because they're just not sure whether next year will be a return to the milder temperatures, and then fewer people will be saying, gone fishing. Geneviève Beauchemin, CTV News, Sainte-Anne-de-la-Pérade, Quebec.
Incredible number, eh? Like, think of that population. Are you aware of this? I didn't know anything about this.
I had booked a shack. Those shacks, you get them in 8-hour time slots, and they run 24 hours a day. And they have a slot down the middle of the shack, and then you have benches on each side and little rod holders. And the rod holders are just little wooden sticks, like a wooden ruler with a line wrapped around it. And it's like a little teeter-totter balance beam. And then when the line goes up, because they bite like a smelt, the line goes up, right? They grab it and lift it up. And when the little teeter-totter starts to tip up, you just grab it and lift it as fast as you can up in the air to set the hook. And then you just haul it in by hand. And the kids love it, because everyone's watching these teeter-totters. They'll put 8-10 lines down that slotted hole down the middle of the shack, and you'll sit there with your family, maybe another family, if at the other end. But it's just, the kids love it. They, lots to look at, and you catch a lot of fish, and they're good to eat. But we got 2 years ago, I had one booked, and then they had to take them all off the ice because the ice was melting.
Yeah,
and that canceled my time slot, and then they brought them back. Not only do they put 1,000 shacks on the ice, all in rows like a city, but they run hydroelectric cable out, and so they all have electricity. And they had to pull all the electrical cables off the ice and then lay them all. You can imagine the expense of that, But this year, I mean, it's going. Yeah, they've been going now for I think 3-4 weeks already.
That's incredible. And again, in a lot of areas across Canada, we are seeing what we would consider a traditional winter. This is what we would think of as a traditional winter. So it's not surprising that folks have 18 inches, 2 feet of ice in some areas. I'm not surprised at all. But when I heard the staggering number in the hundreds of thousands of fish that come up that, holy smokes, dude, that's an incredible amount of fish.
Yeah, they ran into trouble. I don't know, it was 10 years, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. The numbers were being depleted a lot, so they had to back off, and they closed it for a few years, I think. Yeah. Because and you would see pictures, where people inside the hut, and they just catch the fish and throw them outside the hut on the ice, and you'd see 50, 60, 100 of these tomcod just laying on the ice, slowly dying. And that's still sort of the method, but I think I don't think there's still no limit. There's still no limit, but I think there's a limit on how long they can have this go on. But I'm not sure how they're tracking that. They obviously they're watching the numbers. I mean, they overdid it. They learned from their mistakes. They're working, doing a better job now. Let's hope. But yeah, because this is a food base for these fish swim up the St. Lawrence River from the ocean, go up this other river, spawn, and then come back down and go back into the ocean again. These little tiny fish, like the 6, 8, 9 inch long fish.
Wow, incredible. Yeah, and obviously lots going on across this incredible country when it comes to fishing and fishing opportunities, trade shows, this, that, and everything else. But more importantly, what's upcoming for Bluefish Canada?
Oh, we've been working on the program out on the Pontiac, looking at the snowmobile trails, looking at access points for lakes by snowmobile. So we want to start creating GPS points on which lakes you can get to on snowmobile in the wintertime, so we can have them make a map, because there's no maps. There's no nothing. It's just old abandoned logging roads. So that we're up there every week running trails and using our GPS and Garmin maps to explore and local knowledge, and that's been fun. The trails are pretty good. The lakes are pretty frozen. Even the rivers, the trails that go across the rivers are open to the snowmobiles, and so yeah, it's there's 18 inches of ice on the lake. Although last week there was water on top of the ice, and my wife noticed. She said we went over the little bridge that separates the two lakes, and there's and she said, "Well, the river's flowing." She says it's open. It's not frozen under the bridge. And I think, okay, so must be some rain that happened, and it went into the system, and now it's pushing through. And sure enough, it went on top of the ice under the snow. So there was maybe 6 inches of water on top of the ice underneath the snow that had fallen after that. So you definitely you would go through, you would drive with your snowmobile, and you'd check it, and then you had to be careful, because that can change, right? You can change where there's too much water pushes onto the ice in certain areas. It'll sink down from the weight of the water, and you can get as much as 2 or 3 feet of water on top of the ice. And when you're driving, and then another layer of ice, and on top of that snow, and you're driving along, and all of a sudden you break through 2-3 inches of ice, and next thing you know, the whole back of the snowmobile is sinking away on you, and you're thinking, "Oh my God, I'm going to die!" And then it hits ice down below. But then you got to get the thing out. You got to get it out, and that's not easy. That's not easy to get those things out of when it starts dropping into these holes, and you try to gun your way out with a throttle, and it's just digging a trench. It's just digging a trench through the top layer of ice. That's a nightmare.
Very true. Very true. This is unfortunate, but unfortunately, I'm going to have to cut things a little short. I do have to call a fitter in regards to a call. As I mentioned on the outset, I'm on call. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to run and cut it a little short. But Lawrence, as always, thank you for joining us. And this was the first real segment that I was fully prepared for you. And I will try to
read those Outdoor Canada articles a little closer and look at those numbers, because they're always putting them out there, these interesting numbers.
Absolutely.
I'll be prepared.
In the meantime, Lawrence, have yourself a great week. We will see you here again next Monday, where we will have a full show. There won't be any on call, no distractions, no nothing. And I look forward to that, buddy.
Sounds good, buddy.
All the best, Lawrence. Thanks so much for joining us tonight.
Yeah.
All right. Well, sorry, lads and lasses. Unfortunately, I do have to run the on-call pager. I'm at the mercy of, and I have to call a fitter as we speak. So I will leave you a little earlier than normal, but nonetheless, make sure you keep an eye out on Thursday for our post, to make sure that you post your first fish of 2026 for a chance to win a great prize pack from the Made in Canada Tackle Show and Marketplace, as well as our good friends over at Shimano. In the meantime, have yourselves a great week. Stay healthy, stay safe, and hopefully you get out on the ice and enjoy a wet line or 3. Dave, it's time to take us away. Love you all. All the best. Peace.
Well, as much as I hate to admit it, I guess we've run out of time. So I've enjoyed it, but I'm going to do something I haven't done since season 1. Turn up the lights, the party's over. They say that all good things must end.